wiser feller than myself once said, sometimes you eat the turd sandwich, sometimes the turd sandwich, well, it eats you.
Alrighty. And we're back another week. This week was a glorious week or what we thought was a glorious week for nerddom. We're currently recording. This comes out on July 26th. We are recording that morning of, which means we definitely saw Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah. We're just walking down the street. We saw them.
Like, oh my gosh, that's Hugh Jackman. But then I looked closer as we got closer. It's like, I don't know. It's just like, there's actually a couple homeless guys.
Yeah.
One was just wearing a yellow pajama outfit, a onesie. The other was all bloodied. And for some reason, we thought that was Deadpool.
Yeah.
Just blood all over their outfit.
I mean, both of his eyes had been beaten and bruised, so he had two black eyes. So, you can understand the confusion.
But amidst all that, we did get their autographs.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, and the autographs are just illegible enough that we could pass them off as Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds on the internet.
Yes. Yes, no one will know the wiser.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure neither of those guys knew how to write. I had to teach the one in the pajamas how to hold a pen.
Yeah, that was a very sad sight to see.
Yeah, we pushed them into traffic when we were done just to see if they would heal.
Yeah, I felt better after that.
This is horrible. Like whenever we make, because I know we do it a lot. We do it probably an inappropriate amount. Whenever we make jokes about homeless people, I always feel like we're being needlessly cruel.
Yeah. No, it's just jokes, people. Like, you've heard, if not seen, people do worse. Like, we are just joking. Like, this isn't what Teo and I actually do to homeless people or think about homeless people. We're just playing off. I have to explain the joke. That's what's sad about today.
I know, but yeah, like we
don't
wish harm to the unhoused.
Yeah. We're playing off of the stereotype of homeless people and the jokes that people make regarding homeless people.
Yeah, our generation grew up with shows from Schneider's Bakery, which had a very particular view on homeless people and hobos.
They were all weird and crazy.
So that really colors our sense of humor regarding that specific topic.
Yeah.
So you'll have to forgive us.
Yes.
It's something that the younger millennials and older Gen Zs just kind of, we're still in the process of growing past.
Yeah.
But no, we recognize that those handicap accessible park benches are actually just a disguised way to keep homeless people from sleeping on them.
Yeah. Aren't there some of those in Pensacola?
I don't know. I haven't seen any of them here yet. But yeah, like
there were.
That's
I'm not sure.
When I've seen this sentiment repeated a few times, but like that's what people in wheelchairs need: more places to sit. I get that we do need to make space for those in wheelchairs.
Yeah.
But you can park them next to the bench.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And also, like, modern wheelchairs, even if it's like they didn't have the money or the insurance to get the super duper wheelchair, modern wheelchairs are more comfortable than that park bench.
Yeah.
Like way.
But yeah, so and then also like, but yeah, like just keeping, like limiting the places that the unhoused can sleep is a huge reason why a lot of park benches get designed the way they do anyway. Like putting the armrest in the middle. There's a few methods that have been made. There's even one that's bad not just for homeless people but for those who do have homes, because there's one that I've seen where it's like you put change into like a receptacle, and you basically pay to have the seat retract these dull metal spikes into the bench, and then you can sit on it, and when the time's up, the spikes push back
I've seen
out.
that. That's like just
hostile design all around.
That's evil. We know your purpose behind that. The other reasons, like with the quote unquote handicap accessible, yes it is, but we know that's not the main intention. The other stuff, they hide their reasonings. They'll throw up these other reasonings of why they're doing this, or why they're passing this legislation or that legislation. Like they're trying to condense and migrate homeless people without telling you that they're condensing and migrating homeless people.
They're just they're making sure that they stay in certain areas.
Like I don't know if it's the same way in Pensacola, but like in Fort Walton, like panhandling's completely illegal.
Really?
You'll see it here and there, but you don't see it that often, because like they've cracked down on that. Which is that I don't see an issue with panhandling.
If it's illegal, if it's illegal here, it's absolutely not enforced. Literally every street corner has someone on it, and that's not an exaggeration. Like every street corner.
I was gonna say I've been in Pensacola sometime the past few months, and like it's kind of always been that way with Pensacola, but I have no issue with it. Like as long as like someone's not like, which this has never happened. I've never seen anyone do this. The only time you see it is like one rare viral video that goes online and everyone thinks this is all people panhandling. But like there's very, very rare times where someone is like banging on someone's car or anything like that. No, like most of them are like pretty respectful. And it's your choice whether like you want to give them money or not. Like I'm not gonna like bash anyone if they don't give them money, but I don't see like making panhandling illegal. I don't see the reason for that or the point of that. I get actually I see the city's reason or point. It's to make the city look better. That's their whole thing. But overall I'm fine with panhandling.
As someone who lives here, I have seen a few aggressive examples. Nothing as bad as someone like going up to someone's car and becoming like physical with it, but I've seen a few aggressive examples of panhandlers. But for the most part, they just solemnly walk up and down their corner with their cardboard sign. Unfortunately, I never have cash on me.
Nowadays, I don't. That's the sad thing about the digital era.
And when I do have cash, it's for a specific reason.
That's true. Usually, when I have cash, it's whenever someone owes me money, and this isn't
and
like
you just got done pimp slapping them around.
I was like, I'm not trying to sound like a mob boss. Someone just owes me money, like I bought them something or paid for their meal or whatever, and then the next week they pay me back through cash because they didn't have Venmo or something or whatever. Like that's usually the times I have cash on me. It's very rare that I withdraw cash, which now thinking about it, I probably should in case I do, simply as like one of those things where I'm not going to use it, but more in the case where it's like if come across a panhandler or whatever, I have it there. And again, it's everyone's choice whether they want to give money to someone on the side of the road that's asking for it. It's your choice, not bastardizing you for not doing it or doing it. I know there's a lot of people that swing on one side or the other. But yeah, makes me think I need to get some cash.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, so this has nothing to do with cash, but going back to our our homeless Deadpool and Wolverine. So
Yeah.
after that whole incident, we kept
Yeah.
walking and we saw a Cineplex. Saw a Cineplex on the strip, and it said Deadpool and Wolverine now playing. And we were like, holy crap, like I forgot this was coming out, even though it's been marketed like crazy the past year, basically.
Yeah.
I completely forgot this was a thing. I forgot it was coming out today.
Yeah. And we looked at each other and we said out loud at the same time in one voice, because me and Brandon, even though we live in two different cities, we frequently walk down the street together.
Yeah.
And we said at the same time, Deadpool's gonna save Marvel from woke Disney.
Yeah.
Deadpool.
And then I said,
Deadpool,
Jinx, you owe me a Coke. But Teo said it at the same time as well. So we just had to keep going to where we both owe each other about 40 Cokes. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. It did get to a point where I punched Brandon in the throat just to get the upper hand.
Yeah. So
he technically owes me 41 Cokes.
Yeah. So I'll get around to it. But yeah, so we saw that Cineplex sign, and we just had to go in. So we threw open the doors, threw those doors open, broke the hinges.
Yeah.
Like
and
2 tickets.
And who was there to greet us at the door but Nicole Kidman herself?
She was there.
She was there.
She's like, oi!
Not Australian.
Welcome to the AMC movie theater.
Blimey! Crikey! Welcome to AMC theater.
Like,
when you hear your family. Wait, no, hang on. Here we make movies better.
I used to come in here and watch movies when I was a little girl. I had the same voice as well. I had the same voice my entire life. This is what I sounded like.
I would go up to the ticket booth and I'd say, all right, you bloody drongo. Give me one child-sized ticket.
And they'd say, Miss Kidman, all our tickets are the same size. And I said, do I look stupid to you?
And they'd say, yeah, a little. I'd say, listen here, mate. I need a ticket that I could sail the oceans on. A ticket the size of a child. The size of me. I was a child once.
And I'd show them how big a ticket I'm looking for. I pull that ticket out and they're like, now that's a ticket.
And they'd sell me their child-sized tickets by taping a bunch of regular-sized tickets together. They would, of course, they charged me for every one, but I didn't care. Because I told them I'm Nicole Kidman and I'm a future world-famous actress.
I'm going to marry Keith Urban.
I'm going to marry...
Who's Keith Urban? I was like, you'll see.
I'm going to star in... I'm going to be one of the biggest stars in the world, but you're going to be hard-pressed to name a damn one of my movies that aren't, like, directly superhero-related or something. Highest profile release with my name on the ticket was probably, like, recently was probably The Northman.
And some perverts out there might think instantly something like Eyes Wide Shut or something. That's what me, Nicole Kidman, thinks.
Yeah. And after she was done telling us this very bizarre story,
she escorted us. She gave us our tickets. She escorted us to the auditorium, and we got to see her do like you see the thing before every movie, listener. Where she does the AMC thing. We got to see her do that live. You guys don't realize, like, she goes to a movie theater every weekend, and she does that live for a couple patrons.
Yeah. So like, if you go and see Deadpool and Wolverine within the next few weeks, you'll see me and Brandon sitting in the theater in the background, just pointing and soy facing and being like, "Nicole Kidman, it's Nicole Kidman."
Yeah,
while she's doing her little speech about how, like, here the movies make your heart go aflutter. The darkness and the solitude of it all tempts you to touch yourself while you're watching the movie, but you really shouldn't.
And that impassioned speech that she gives each time now is going to be of Deadpool, like whenever it shows clips from movies and stuff, it's just going to be like a scene of Deadpool jacking off and then Hugh Jackman getting stabbed in the wiener and stuff. As she's saying this impassioned speech about film.
Not Wolverine getting stabbed in the wiener. Hugh Jackman getting stabbed.
No, Hugh Jackman.
Yeah. And every time it pops up, Nicole Kidman's going to be like, I was in the movie Australia with that bloke. It's like the only movie that he's ever done where he got to use his real accent.
I was also in the same country as that bloke.
Yeah.
We're from the same country.
We're from the same country, that bloke and I. But I think, if I remember correctly, I don't know, it's been like almost 20 years since Teo's seen this movie. But I think I didn't do my real accent in that movie. I think I was playing an English woman.
Which isn't too hard to do. My Australian accent is just a drunk English accent is all.
Pretty much. Crikey. And but yeah, normally the only accents that me and Hugh are allowed to do are American or English. So at least he got to use his real accent. I really can't tell whether or not I'm drifting between like New Zealand and Australian with this, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Is Nicole Kidman from from Australia or New Zealand? I can't remember.
Oh. Kidman birthplace. Honolulu, Hawaii.
What?
She was born in Honolulu to Australian parents.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hold on. So she was born in Honolulu. She was raised in Sydney.
Okay, so she's Australian. She's Australian.
Yeah.
Dang, so does that mean she hasn't, like, she's always had American citizenship then?
I guess so, yeah. Yeah.
Because she was born in the United States then.
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't know that.
What the heck? Her husband Keith Urban isn't Australian. He's
What?
New Zealand, or he's a New Zealander, Kiwi, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, New Zealander, I think it's.
Yeah.
Huh. New Zealish.
Yes, but so we sat down. Once she was done with her live performance, we saw the movie, and it's what you think, listener. It's Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
It's a movie.
It's a movie.
It's a movie.
There
were pictures, moving images.
Yeah.
It was rated R, so there were some bad words.
Yeah, there was a
gore.
Scene, yeah, there was a scene of Deadpool diddling himself for about 20 minutes of the movie's runtime. And like there gets to be a point where you're like, is there time for this? Is there really time for this in the movie? This is like right before the final battle. They're gearing up for the final battle, and Deadpool's just whacking it for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, that part was interesting. Excuse me.
Okay, Rick. Oh, jeez, Rick.
Well, yeah, that part was interesting. It was very, very artistic choice by them.
Yeah.
Very artistic choice of just the one camera angle and shot, and it didn't ever cut.
Yeah.
It just kept going. It wasn't edited or anything or maybe it was, but that one scene felt like we were in the room with him.
Yeah.
And, very artistic choice there.
Yeah, and he that's one of the moments where he keeps talking to the camera.
Yeah.
He keeps referring to the audience as baby girl. Yeah, it makes you wonder if is this how Ryan Reynolds really does it when he's alone?
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they would allow this, even if it is R-rated, I'm surprised they would allow this in a Marvel movie.
Yeah. Something tells me.
Apparently it was Kevin Feige's idea.
Yeah, that was true. Which, I mean, hey, it's the scene that's going to be talked about the most about this movie.
Yeah. Or avoided the most.
Or avoided the most. But the choice to do what seems like essentially a hidden camera on Deadpool while he's masturbating, because it in the film it seems like he doesn't even know he's being filmed, and he's even saying yeah Ryan, yeah, you can do this.
You can get it up. There was a lot of that. There's a lot of
that. There's like 10
soft
minutes
whacking
of that.
trying to just get it going.
Yeah. Very artistic choice. I equate it to the artistic choice of A Ghost Story, the 2017 movie A Ghost Story, where there's 5 to 10 minutes of a lady eating a pie. And it's all one shot. I equate it to that. Very artistic choice.
Yeah.
I could see this movie, at least that clip. I know MTV Movie Awards sometimes has best scene from a movie as an award.
Yeah.
It's got to be nominated.
Oh, yeah.
That scene's got to be nominated.
Yeah. Deadpool's Alone Time is definitely got to be nominated for best scene. Yeah, and where he was doing it looked suspiciously like a trailer.
Yeah.
Like an actor's trailer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Deadpool is so meta, you think oh, this is clearly a part of the movie, but it does kind of ride that line where you're not sure is this.
You aren't sure because it's weird. It does that, and after he finishes, there's at least a minute of panting and him saying, "My God, what have I done? I've sinned." He's doing a lot of that, and then
he does break down and sob 2 or 3 times.
And then there's just a hard cut to him now in the middle of a fight, the final fight. So it's very, very odd choice, but I'm here for it. I'm here for these artistic choices in these superhero movies.
It really deepens Deadpool's character. It really humanizes him and grounds him in a sort of reality. Where sometimes before the big final battle, you do just need to take 20 minutes to yourself.
Yeah. Once you're done, you wipe away the tears, you wipe away the shame.
You wipe away the other things.
Yes. Time to go to battle. So overall, 8 out of 10.
Yeah, best movie ever.
Yeah. No, but
I was gonna say, are we ready to drop it, or are we keeping going?
Yeah. I was gonna say we will see the movie.
Yeah.
We have not seen it yet. We're recording on the 22nd. We don't live in Hollywood. We don't know the big rigs. We didn't go to the world premiere or anything like that.
Does everybody enjoy the two of us repeatedly burping directly into our recording devices?
They have to. This is the first time I've done it in a while.
Yeah, I know. I'm usually the gassy one, but
usually it happens with me if I'm drinking like a cola.
Yeah.
I think what started this one is I ate some breakfast burritos and I had hot sauce with them.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what started that one.
Mm.
But yeah, we'll see Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm happy. I don't really have like, not saying high hopes. Like I hope it is good. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm not like hyped. I think that's what's good about this. I'm not like super hyped for it. It's where it'll probably be better than what it might possibly be in my head right now.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I have been looking forward to it for a while.
Yeah.
I'm like, and now as far as like content and tone and everything like that, I'm not with the crowd that's being like, oh, this is going to save the MCU, because in that regard, I don't think the MCU needed saving. Financially, though, I'm hoping this is what saves the MCU and gets things back on track in that regard.
Yeah, this was just a buffer period for them to take the time and truly plan out.
Yeah.
And they needed something big to come out during this buffer time.
Yeah,
this is coming out
with this.
I don't think this is
coming out this year.
I don't think this is the thing that like you had mentioned. This isn't the thing that's going to save the MCU. I think it's just the thing that needs to come out right now while they are which they've already done it, while they are rewriting the path of what will happen, because I think Comic-Con's this week or this weekend or something.
Yeah,
it's mentioned that they're going to do the next slate of movies.
Okay.
Like they're going to have that mapped out, so you'll see like all the stuff that we've heard before, but likely in different orders, and probably some of that like just taken out.
Yeah, some of it's definitely going to end up having been canceled. I'm gonna be honest, I will be really shocked if Blade actually makes it out.
Oh my gosh, yeah. For like, that's the thing, is I would like to see the Blade movie. I think Mahershala Ali would be amazing as Blade.
Yeah.
The thing is though, like, he's getting older.
Yep.
As well as aside from we might get, if he stayed Blade, 2 maybe 3 Blade movies at most. That's being generous. We probably wouldn't even get that. And on top of that, they went through, was it 4 directors now?
Yeah.
That's not a good sign.
No. And it was like announced like 5 years ago. And and the thing is, like, they weren't going to do a Blade remake yet. But Mahershala Ali was the one who wanted to be Blade. And basically, my understanding is, I think Feige or someone at Marvel just wanted Ali like on board. And I think they let him pick what character he wanted to be, and he chose Blade.
Okay.
So like the whole reason a Blade movie. So like and you see, when you have an actor on board like that who has a specific character that he wants to go for, that has the potential to be really great, because you know that like the lead actor's passionate, so you've got this.
Yeah.
And like with a name like Mahershala Ali behind that, like you've got a good push, and it should be easier than that. But right now, Blade is turning into Marvel's Black Adam.
Yeah, it really is.
Except Marvel might end up doing what at this point might be the smarter thing and just shelving Blade, because Ali is getting really, like, from the reports, Ali's getting super annoyed that it's taking so long anyway, and he's pretty much on the verge of walking away.
Yeah, I'm sure. yeah, it's a mess. It's one of those things where I would like to see it, but currently, no, I don't want to see it because based on all this stuff, all these directors walking off, Mahershala Ali, like now not being in great high spirits. Like
Yeah.
the first movie, you'll be able to see it, but movies going forward, you might not see it as much, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's just all this stuff where it's like, no, I'm fine with canning it.
Yeah.
Had this actually come out 3-4 years ago, yeah, I'd be happy. But with all this behind the scenes stuff constantly happening, it's like I don't have high hopes for this.
Yeah.
I think most people that follow this type of news don't have high hopes for this. So
And it does leave us with the question though that if Blade gets shelved, then who was it in the post-credit scene of Eternals saying to Black Knight, "Don't put that up your butt," or whatever it was he said.
so that was supposed to be Blade.
That's supposed to be Blade. That's like Mahershala Ali's voice
Okay.
saying that. So it's but yeah, I don't remember what the exact line was, but
Yeah. Don't put the sword up your butt.
don't put the hilt of that sword up your butt. That'll be bad. You're supposed to hold on to that in your hands.
Yeah, but
Swords don't go up your butt.
yeah, they'll roll out their slate, and everyone, you'll have 50% of people being excited. You'll have 50% of people being like, "Oh,
Yeah.
here Disney goes again."
Here we
Like,
go
you're just
again.
gonna-
Yeah,
you're
and
gonna have that.
well, I think you'll have about like if you look at the internet, you'll have about 20% of people excited.
Mm-hmm.
20% of people like, yeah, okay. Another 20% of people being like, really? Here we go again. And then the remaining 40% actively hoping that all of it fails.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like MCU fatigue has gotten to the point where the people who are sick of it aren't just content to annoy it. They actually want it to fail.
Yeah. And I have like a decent bit of that fatigue, but I wouldn't really say it's MCU. I think it's just across the board. But I don't want any of this stuff to fail.
Yeah.
I encourage this stuff to keep going, and I'm like me having the fatigue whenever something is like different from the rest, it really stands out to me. I'm like, dang, that was actually like really good. Like I enjoy it even more.
And for me personally, I did start to get fatigued with it about last year. That's why I ended up skipping the Marvels in theaters. Which is the first Marvel movie I've skipped, like produced by Marvel Studios. I should add that caveat. The first Marvel movie produced by Marvel Studios that I've skipped in the theaters since 2011.
Dang.
I had a 12-year record. But yeah, I started getting tired. But something that I found when I took my break, and I think I've touched on this before, is that the movies themselves aren't what was exhausting me. It was the discourse around it, and I was getting too wrapped up in the discourse, and it's like it was just tiring because I started to realize like half the reason I'm watching these movies is for the conversation around them, but the conversation sucks. So I had to take a break, step back, and like reorganize my thoughts and take inventory on like, why am I watching these movies? Because I like all of these characters are characters that I have loved since I was a child. I've been reading comic books since I was like 8 years old. So like and I've said before on both of our podcasts that like I'm heavily biased in Marvel's favor. I'm like a ride or die Marvel guy. I will stick around well after things actually get bad.
Yeah.
But and like I'm the sort of person where if I really care about something, I have the endurance to weather rough patches.
Yeah, you have that investment in it.
But yeah, like I needed the break for basically most of last year's Marvel releases and didn't start catching up on them until February. I still haven't watched Echo, which I need to get around to doing. But
Yeah, all the Disney Plus show, I'm like so far behind, as
yeah,
well as like the Star Wars Disney Plus stuff, because I still want to see Andor. Still haven't seen Andor.
Andor is about the only recent Star Wars thing I have any interest in.
Yeah.
Personally,
Yeah,
I might
same.
watch the 3rd season of The Mandalorian at some point, just because The Mandalorian's a character I care about.
Right.
But yeah, like Andor is one where it's like, and like the best part of Andor is that it came and went, right?
Yeah.
It got in, it told the story it wanted to tell, and it got out. So
Yeah.
like, that's an interesting thing for me. But yeah, I've just heard so many good things, even from the people, even from Star Wars fans. I've heard good things about Andor.
Yeah.
When even the people who again are actively cheering on the failure of these projects enjoy it, you know that it's got to be good.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm back in my right head. Taking a break from the movie theater for Marvel stuff after Guardians 3 was probably the best decision I could have made, because it gave me a really nice long gap between that and going to see Deadpool and Wolverine, because the only movie that's come out between those two was the Marvels.
Okay.
So like I've only missed one in the theater
Right.
in the past 13 years now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm planning to get back on it, to keep up with it, but not for the sake of talking to people about it, not for the sake of having a conversation about it. It's time to get back into it, just for its own sake and for me to enjoy it again.
Yeah.
Because I've heard the sentiment from people that like, oh, they should have just stopped after Endgame. And my question is, why? Why did they need to stop?
Like,
as you're not having fun anymore, just ignore it.
Also, not even as like obviously, yes, like comics, let's have the story keep going. But aside from just the storytelling element, the part that like actually matters to studios, like, why would you stop right when you made like one of the top 3 highest grossing movies of all time?
Yeah.
Like it made like over $2 billion. It made like over like $2.5 billion. Why would you stop then?
Yeah.
You're technically at your height, even if you start like let's say that's the peak. Even if you're at the peak right there in terms of sales, why would you stop it? Like even the stuff going after, let's say it starts going down the hill some, you're still making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Or you should be, at least.
Well, the people that I'm talking about aren't thinking about this at all from like the actual business's perspective. They're thinking about it as like, oh, the story that I cared about is over, so they're supposed to be done now.
Well, you can just stop watching. I mean, they're legit like people, and I have no problem with them at all. There are people that I know that like Endgame was the last one for them, and they haven't watched any of the other Marvel movies, and they don't totally like complain. Yeah, they don't complain about the other Marvel movies. They're just like, yeah, I'm done. I equate it to
and you know what the difference between them and the people complaining is? Those people have a healthy relationship with the media they consume.
Yeah. and I equate that to like going all the way to Endgame and then being like, okay, I'm done. That was a great ride. That was a great run. The reason I mentioned run is it's basically like a comic book run.
Exactly. That's like it's the perfect thing to compare it to.
Yeah, like you read this 5 to 10 year span of this writer writing this thing, or this team writing this thing or whatever, and then it gets to its end, and then like not all comic readers, but the average person can sometimes be like, man, that was great. All right, I'm gonna take a break from this. I'm gonna go look at this stuff over here, and that's completely okay.
Yeah, it's like if you're like a real old school Marvel guy, and you hopped onto Thor when Walt Simonson was writing it, and then when he was done, you were like, oh, okay, I don't really care that much about Thor anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like it's totally fine to have that perspective, to have that run that you like, and then move on. Because comic books, like continuing this comparison, every single comic book series that's ever had more than one writer, so basically all of Marvel and DC's main lineups,
Right.
have had rough periods and times of adjustment, but the vast majority of those comics survive.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like it's one of those things where it's like, for Marvel's movies, they've structured those movies so much like a comic book series as it is, that it's hard to imagine that no matter how bad it gets, it will be bad long enough to fail.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
it's
Phase 4 and the first segment of Phase 5 have been Marvel's major rough period. But I do think they have genuinely taken the time to adjust, and I do think that Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be the first major sign that things are back on track.
Yeah, I think your comparison is like spot on in terms of like that's how like these comic runs are with like you have this great thing and then you have rough patches, then you have a new thing, a new good thing or great thing, then some rough patches. I mean, like, yeah, like they continue.
Yeah.
So
And the thing is, it's not even that Phase 4 and the beginning of Phase 5 were even that much of a rough patch, because the good still outweighed the bad. It's just
they're still
there was
good there.
more bad or even more middling in these phases than there had been for the past few years, because Marvel made the mistake of making almost everything in Phase 3 great.
Yeah. So where you got a high bar.
So everybody looks at Phase 3 as the standard.
Yeah.
But the standard should really have been Phase 2, which was kind of a split down the middle in terms of quality.
Yeah.
Because you got three, I want to say three. Okay. From Phase 2, we'll say you got two great movies, two absolutely fantastic movies with Winter Soldier and Guardians 1.
Right.
You got two pretty okay movies with Iron Man 3 and Ant-Man.
Right.
And then two kind of lackluster but still watchable movies in The Dark World and Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
That's like the perfect spread of quality, and it better represents what a movie studio should be capable of. But for some reason, Marvel was able to produce like banger after banger for Phase 3. And Phase 3 is the phase where everything was way more interconnected than the first two phases were. And that's where
all culminated.
Plus, with how much longer Phase 3 was than the first two phases, it started giving everyone the impression that, like, oh, it's always been all connected all the time. Because the longest phase, and which was the most recent phase, was the one people remembered, and it also had the highest quality movies in the saga. So you get to Phase 4, and we're going back to like a standard, okay, this might be amazing and it might be bad. And not everything is interconnected anymore, and people are like, what the heck is this? So like the lack of interconnection is like, well, there's no direction now, even though there was no direction for the first two phases. And like the hit or miss quality, it's like, oh, well, Marvel's just bad now because they can't make a mind-blowing movie every single time. It's like they were only doing that for a couple years anyway, because they managed to like really like win the lottery when it came to the talent that they managed to acquire.
Oh yeah.
So it's just one of those things where it's like, I understand why people like looking back on it in retrospect, I understand why people don't super enjoy phases 4 and 5 so far. It's just personally annoying that nobody seems to be putting any effort into understanding why they don't like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm totally okay with people not liking something, but it annoys me if someone doesn't like something and puts no effort into interrogating their reasoning.
Right.
And if you think about it for a long time and still can't figure out why you don't like something, that's fine. You know, there are plenty of things I don't like for no reason, but
Yeah.
at least I've thought about it.
Right.
I'm sorry, that was just a real long tangent.
No, I get it. Yeah, like I am not as passionate about Marvel, but yeah, I don't get all the hate that Marvel gets today.
Yeah.
They've made like a few lackluster movies the past few years. That's really it. Like I don't know. To me, I'm not trying to be a Star Wars hater. To me, it makes more sense to do the Star Wars hating than the Marvel hating. And I'm not like condoning all the Star Wars hate. I'm not doing that at all because I think there are some people that are enjoying everything that's being put out by Star Wars. I think my biggest issue with that is like truly a lot of us are just burnt out on Star Wars.
Yeah. For me, Star Wars was never a huge personal investment anyway. So like Star Wars was always something that I would just kind of roll in to casually see what was going on and then roll back out.
Yeah. But Deadpool and Wolverine, like at the very least, it's going to be good. At the very least, it's fine to good. It's not going to be a bad movie. It'll likely be good. Might be great or amazing to some people. Is it this thing that has to save Marvel? No, it's not. We already talked about it. Marvel was already doing course correction. They just needed something big to kind of be a buffer in between that course correction. So yeah, I think it'll be all okay. It'll be a-okay. I think Marvel is doing a lot better than Disney itself.
Yeah.
I think Disney itself is definitely trying to learn from last year.
Yeah.
Like on the exclusively like the Disney brand stuff, not the Marvel logo stuff, not the Star Wars logo stuff, the Disney brand stuff. They're trying to
something that
possibly learn from.
Something that Disney has kind of had to start learning across the board, across all of their brands, is because they had for the past few years, they've had this blanket policy of just push as much out as you can.
Yeah.
Like that big, I want to say it was like a D23 something panel from a few years ago that we actually covered back on Store Brand, where Marvel and Lucasfilm both announced like just a metric ass load of stuff, half of which hasn't even begun pre-production yet at this point, and a lot of which has been canceled because Feige and Kathleen Kennedy were pushed by whichever Bob was in control at the time, I don't remember, to just announce whatever was on the whiteboard, basically. Like we need investors to be happy. It was the Disney Investors Day. That's what it was.
Yeah. I think that's what a lot of people forget about like these big conferences like D23 is like, yes, we're happy the fans are there and we're happy there's coverage there because that also helps. The bottom line is the investors that are there or the investors that are watching,
Yep.
they want to see how everyone else is feeling about it.
Yep.
At the end of the day, they're what's important about this.
And they want to know what kind of profit there is to expect from it.
Yeah, yeah.
How are the upcoming projects going to financially benefit them? Is a
Right.
huge part of why they want to know what's coming up as well, and like how much of what's coming up.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like all of that Star Wars stuff that was announced, out of all of it in that Investors Day, just a second. Oh, excuse me. Like Ahsoka, Andor, and the Acolyte are like the only 3 live action projects out of all that stuff that was announced that's come out.
Oh dang, yeah.
And
You're right.
the Acolyte was announced, like this was years ago. This was like 4 years ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, because no one really knew what it was at that time.
Yeah.
There's like brief mention. At that time, it was essentially like it sounded like Sith assassin. That's pretty much all we knew at that time.
I remember hearing it described as like some kind of detective story.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's yeah, and then like they had this whole like X-Wing fighter pilot project that's been like getting tossed around that I'm pretty sure isn't happening. For I can't remember if it was even going to be a miniseries or if they were going to try and make it a movie.
Yeah, there's going to be like a Rogue Squadron movie or something.
Yeah, I think
like
that's
that.
what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's but yeah, a lot of that was just like the guy up top was like just announce stuff.
Right.
So like Armor Wars gets announced and it's like that was so early on in development, nobody knew what it was.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Armor Wars is the thing that in terms of the Marvel announcements that is went on the longest, I feel like.
Yeah, that's if any of them is on the chopping block, it's definitely that one, which to me, I'm sad about because I'm totally down for War Machine to be the lead in a movie.
Yeah, yeah.
I want Rhodey to do stuff. And then like, oh, but the thing is though, like it again has been so long since then that like Secret Invasion has kind of really altered the context of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's entirely possible that like Rhodey has recently woken up into a world and just found out that Tony's dead.
Yeah.
We have no idea how long he was asleep for. And so so you kind of got this world where it's like, great. Now Rhodey basically has to be the new Iron Man.
Yeah.
And clean up the messes. And it's like, and again, that would make a really interesting premise. But at the same time, to really get Rhodey's internal conflict through a movie like that, because they changed it to a movie. It was going to be a series, now it's a movie. But to really understand why Rhodey has that conflict, you kind of have to go back and watch a pretty lackluster miniseries on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
To even get like, why is Rhodey not up to date on things? So yeah. Because the thing is, I liked the Secret Invasion miniseries. It was just the last episode where things kind of fell off for me.
Yeah.
Also, I'm okay with, obviously, because all these projects contribute to the universe in some way, no matter how self-contained they are.
Right.
But I also think that Secret Invasion, as far as character deaths goes, overstepped a little bit. Because I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but both Maria Hill and Talos died in Secret Invasion. So it's like, I feel like for either of those characters, it kind of should have been a one or the other. Like Talos is probably the higher vote because he's more relevant to the conflict, being a Skrull character.
Right.
And like it just would have for him, like his death would have had more impact as a part of that series specifically, even though he hasn't been around for very long in terms of the overall movie release schedule.
Right.
But and then doing away with Maria Hill in that series, for me personally, it's just like she deserved to. If she was going to die, she deserved to go out in a better project.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like Maria deserves to die in a better series or movie.
Well, at least it wasn't Nick Fury. That I'm not saying it would have been,
Yeah.
but imagining like this guy who is a major character dies in one of these Disney Plus shows. I'm not bashing the Disney Plus shows. I'm just saying more
Not as
people
many people
watch
get to
them.
see them.
Yeah, exactly. More people watch the movies than they watch these shows. So you have him, if you had him die in a show, and then also the show is like meh amongst audiences, that would be very bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been pretty bad. Because there is like there is a scene like in the final episode where you think like, oh man, Nick's gonna die. Even though like anyone who's paying attention to any of the marketing for these things already knows that he's gonna be in the Marvels. But
right. Yeah, that's true.
But the thing is like, oh man, like this could be Nick Fury's last stand, and then like it's revealed that, oh no, it was Emilia Clarke's Skrull character disguised as him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's yeah, you're right. Like at least it wasn't like a Nick Fury's final stand sort of show where
like if someone had to die, I'm not completely okay with Maria Hill dying in it, but if someone had to die, I'd much rather take her dying over Nick Fury in that show.
But yeah, like out of all of the character deaths, because not that there were a lot of major character deaths in that show, there were two. But between the two major character deaths, if you had to get rid of one of them, I would say keep Maria Hill, like let her live, and then kill Talos off. Because again, the conflict, he's more relevant to the conflict as a character because he's actually a Skrull.
Right.
And like he was like one of the only remaining Skrulls on Earth who actually still sided with Nick. So it's one of those things where it's like, oh, this is, he was my last Skrull buddy, and now he done got.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, I feel like Maria probably should have lived. It's not something I'm gonna, be super upset about like for a long time or anything. It's just one of those things where I was she deserved better as a character. Like, and that's not even mentioning the fact that Maria Hill is one of the best characters in the comics too. But I love the comic book version of Maria Hill. Now, I've gone on record saying that I don't like the way that Brian Bendis writes women.
Right.
But for some reason, I think it has to do with her position in the hierarchy of power. I like the way Bendis writes Hill.
Okay.
Because it makes sense for her to be as aggressive as she is.
Yeah.
Given the position she occupies, because she was the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a really long time.
Yeah.
So like in my head, because most of the Marvel comics that I have read are published after the year 2004. So when I think of S.H.I.E.L.D. as an organization, Nick Fury isn't even the director to me usually when I think of the comic books. I think of Maria Hill as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
So yeah, like I like Maria Hill, and she's one of the only female characters that I actually like when she's written by Brian Bendis. Because she makes sense when he's writing her, and he's one of her co-creators if I'm not mistaken. So
okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like for me personally, it's like one of my favorite S.H.I.E.L.D. characters getting killed off as well as like again, she would have been better served dying in a better project.
Yeah, I get that.
If she had to go.
Right.
But then again, we don't know what Kobe Smulders' contract looked like. Maybe she, wanted out.
Yeah, that's true.
She'd been playing the character for like 11 years by that point.
Yeah, what was the first time she was in? Was it
The Avengers?
Oh, okay, yep, you're right.
Kobe Smulders' first appearance as Maria Hill was 2012's The Avengers.
Okay.
Sometimes I do wonder, is my knowledge of this stuff a little too encyclopedic? Like, do I know, do I have too many useless things about all of this stuff memorized? But then it's like, whatever.
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't mind being a living Google search engine for Marvel stuff.
Yeah, it's better than I don't know. Yeah, I think it's fine to have that dedication and encyclopedic knowledge on one thing, and nothing against, like, this is so random, people on Jeopardy.
Yeah,
but that seems very, I don't know. It's like, have an interest. Don't have an interest in everything.
Yeah. Well, you see,
and a very fine interest in everything. You don't truly have an interest in it all. You just like Trivia Pursuit.
Yeah, pretty much. Jeopardy is just like, I've studied a little bit of everything. It's like, but have you studied a lot of anything?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see, nerds, like non-Jeopardy nerds, we usually have like the whole diaspora of is that the right word?
I'll give it to you. I don't know.
Nerd stuff that we like. There's comic books, video games, anime, or cartoons in general. A lot of the time, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, we've
got all this stuff, but like most nerds, while they like most of it, have one thing in particular they gravitate towards.
Yeah, like each nerd, I feel like, because you see this in documentaries sometimes where they bring an expert in to talk about this one thing. Each nerd, I think, is almost an expert in knowledge of something. It can be the most niche thing as well. I'm not just talking about like Marvel, DC. Yeah. I mean, it could just literally be like, this guy is, and I'll get away from comics with this explanation, but like, someone's like, I am the expert on ambush bug. I know everything about ambush bug. I can tell you, like, when it was created. I can tell you the creators. I can tell you his appearances, the runs he's been in, the crossovers he's been in, how he has affected and not affected the DC universe.
When you said niche, I was thinking like, I am an expert on lettering. I can tell you who lettered any given issue of a comic book by looking at it.
Okay, if someone has that talent, like that would be wild.
Awesome. That's really cool, honestly. I someone could do that.
Well, I could see, with that though, it's like I'm sure there are people that like can do that, like very few, but could do that with like the basically the 50s to the 90s comics. There's probably people that could do that. Once you get into the digital era, if you're able to do that, that is insane. You're like psychic or something. Like there shouldn't be a way to do that, because all you can just easily digitally replicate someone else's lettering style. Like the only way you'd be able to really tell is like where exactly this person likes to place their word bubbles or thought bubbles near a character. Like this guy usually likes to put it around here when a character's talking or whatever.
And half the time, that's not even entirely up to the letterer. That would be on the artist, because you got to put it where they're leaving space.
Yeah, exactly. No, if someone is like I doubt I'm not trying to downplay anyone listening. We just don't have a lot of listeners. If there's a listener out there that is like an expert at, like, I could show you a page from a 50s to 90s comic, and you can tell me without looking it up or anything who lettered that page, that would be amazing. Like, and also I'm going to pick like I'm not going to pick like let's say it's Amazing Spider-Man or whatever, like a big Spider-Man thing. I'm not going to do that because there are people who are experts and fans of Amazing Spider-Man, so they know the timeline. They know, like, okay, Stanley, Jack Kirby, or whoever, and then this person was the letterer. They know that stuff.
Yeah.
No, I want to find someone that I can find this more niche comic by this.
Tell me who lettered Blue Beetle Volume 1, Number 3.
Yeah, like stuff like that. Even if it's like, that's the thing, is it could still be a big letterer. Like, let's say, I have no idea, because I don't know big letterers and stuff from that time. But even if it was like the guy who lettered Spider-Man for 150 issues, he wound up lettering this niche Blue Beetle series or whatever. Yeah, like if I showed them a page from that Blue Beetle and was like, who lettered this? And they were able to say it, I'd be like, holy crap, like, that's very impressive to me.
It was lettered by Diddlish McGiggly.
Then I turned to the credits page. I'm like, crap, I forgot. They don't have credits page at this time. All right, I got to look it up.
Oh, crap. It's lost information. He was completely uncredited. It could have been Diddlish McGiggly.
Yeah, like that's a very niche expertise and talent. That would be wild. But yeah, like just like something niche, like not like the guy that knows all about every Xbox game. Not that. More like, I know, and I'm not even going to say like Halo or Mass Effect. Those are also too big. I mean, just like trying to think of a one-shot Xbox game, basically. Like an example like that. Do what?
Mark of Cree.
Sure.
That's
I haven't even heard that. Okay, I haven't even heard that, but I'm saying like that. If someone like knew all the knowledge of that, like, that stuff is cool. Like, that person is truly an expert on that super niche thing that, one, most of us don't even know that game, and two, even if you know that game, you sure as heck don't know all the stuff that this guy knows.
Yeah. Mark of Cree is pretty obscure. Like, it's not as obscure as it gets, but it's a deep cut.
Right.
It's like from like OG, like Xbox PS2 generation consoles. Like the first Xbox.
I'd have to think on my my niche expertise. I can't. I mean, like, I probably, if I thought on it, I could probably think of something. The closest thing, and it's not niche, it actually is like fairly big franchise. Gears of War, I feel like I'm not an expert at, but like I could get away with being a fan expert on a documentary. I feel like I could get away with it. There would be fans that watch the documentary and they're like, this guy, like, I knew that. Also, he forgot to mention this and this and this.
Yeah, I could probably get away with being a fan expert on certain Pokemon titles, but not a whole lot else. There aren't very many video games. Like, I've put some study into like Spyro and Infamous and all that, but there's not a lot of games that like I think I could pass myself off as like even just a casual expert on.
This is what's so funny. I remember this like maybe once every couple years, and I just remembered it. I was taking the ACT. This will tie in with what we're talking about here. I was
Real
taking-
quick before you get into that,
Yeah.
is it okay if I go pee real quick?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, I'm gonna mute my mic.
Okay, so
Me and Brandon are done peeing into the same toilet at the same time.
yes, we cross streams like we talked about before.
We raced
Bathroom
to see who
exploded.
could push their pee out fastest.
Yes. I'm bleeding now. Too much force.
I've never
I
pushed my pee
split
so
my
hard.
urethra open.
my-
It was
oh my
so
God.
much force.
Yeah, I've pushed my pee pretty hard, but I've never pushed so hard that I hurt myself.
No, I've never done that. But what I was mentioning before, so we were talking about like nicheness and experts and in niche stuff. It made me think, because I was talking about Gears of War.
Yeah.
It made me think I was taking the ACT. This was senior year of high school. I was taking the ACT, and at the end, I was taking the writing portion of the ACT.
Yeah.
And the prompt was like, it couldn't be a family member. I think the prompt was like, who is a celebrity that has impacted your life or is inspirational to you, and why? I think it was worded a lot better, but that was essentially it. And so I had to basically write like a quick little essay on that. And the first person I thought of and wound up writing it on was Cliff Bleszinski, also known as Cliffy B, the guy who was the head guy over Gears of War with making Gears of War 1, 2, and 3. And I wrote about this guy and his impact and his life and how it impacted me. And it's so funny to think like 16, 17-year-old me, that was one of the most impactful celebrities on my life was Cliffy B. And there's an essay out there somewhere. It's probably because I remember we would get it wasn't really with ACT, but sometimes teachers before like the big writing test at the end of the year, like I wonder, it'd be funny if they did that with ACT, where they show an essay and they pick it apart, or they say like, this is what a 6 out of 12, because I think that's the scale for the writing portion, as it goes up to 12 is the highest. This is what a 6 out of 12 essay looks like, or whatever.
Why I Wish
have
Cliffy
mine.
B Was My Dad by Brandon Ingram.
Why Cliffy B Will Be My Dad by Brandon Ingram. Yeah.
You know, if I had done that as a teenager, I genuinely don't know who I would have written about at the time. If I were to do that now, it would be kind of hard to pick.
If I were to do that now, it'd probably be Kevin Smith for me. Now, if it was a celebrity, like not talking about like people, not close people. If it was that prompt from back at ACT where it said celebrity.
If it was a celebrity, that's what I was thinking too. Because the thing is, I don't look up to a lot of what people typically think of as celebrities, like actors and reality TV stars and talk show hosts and all that stuff. Like I don't. Like I've never really followed the lives of people like that, but like someone who's not necessarily a celebrity but was a public personality that I think is on my short list would be Jack Kirby.
Yeah, I can see that.
If I were to do that now.
Yeah, and with my Kevin Smith answer, it's not even like I look up to the guy. I'm just trying to think of people celebrities that have had the biggest impact on me.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Why I Wish Kevin Smith Was My Dad by Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, if I had to make like I don't know who the third person would be. I'd have to really think hard about that. But my top two celebrities would probably be Kevin Smith, and then much lower on the totem pole, I guess you could still call him a celebrity to an extent, is Jim Kruger, like the Marvel / DC writer.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Both of those people, Kevin Smith isn't my favorite movie director or movie maker. Jim Kruger is not my favorite comic writer or comic maker. But those are the two that have had the biggest impact on my life.
All right. Okay, Brandon. Here's a question then.
Okay.
You can pick from across space and time, so like dead or alive, any point in history. Pick 3 creatives that you admire to have a dinner party with. Like, who's your short list for that?
That's the thing. Everyone's going to pick like people are going to pick like go way back and pick these super wise people.
Yeah.
And that's all good and stuff. I just want to have like a good time, good conversation sort of thing.
Yeah, and I'm not like, and when I say creatives, I mean not like philosophers or anything. Like
right.
So no like Nietzsche or any guys in that realm. I'm talking like specifically like people who have created content for entertainment. So Shakespeare's on the table, dancing, and that sort of thing. Like movie directors, playwrights, novelists, comic book writers.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Animators, video game developers, anyone, just like from across space and time, living or dead.
Yeah, because that's the thing is like there are some people, it'd be very interesting to have like dinner with and talk to and stuff, but like I don't know. Me personally, I really want to enjoy the time because like here's the thing. I would love to have dinner with Hayao Miyazaki.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'd be in my top 3 just because like I don't know. The guy is a very different outlook on life than what you see with his movies, which can also be interesting in conversation, but I just want a good time sort of thing.
You promised me there would be airplanes.
In the invite, it said
on
airplanes.
You said we have dinner on a plane.
I said we can make paper airplanes.
Disappointing.
Now, if I had to think about this would probably change tomorrow, but it feels like a right now thing. Kevin Smith, Junji Ito, and then probably Jeff Lemire.
Okay.
I was thinking Tom King, but I'm leaning more towards Jeff Lemire.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I'd probably have to go with J.R.R. Tolkien, Jack Kirby, and Donny Cates. Those are my 3 picks.
Yeah. Yeah, those are pretty good picks. Yeah, mine are very much like people that are like.
But you know what? I just, and this is another thing where this could change tomorrow too, because I just thought of Eiichiro Oda.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, subject to change.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, mine are very people that are still alive and their work like is only 20, 25 years old sort of thing. Which I guess that plays into like, I mean, it's beyond just like the body of work of the people. Yes, it's the body of the work, but it's also themselves. Like Kevin Smith's an example of that, where like, yes, he has a very interesting body of work. Some of his movies are some of my favorite movies. But like over the past like 15 years, Kevin Smith has made his brand Kevin Smith, not this movie, that movie. Like Kevin Smith is the property, essentially.
Yeah, for me, I feel like the three choices I came down to are because if you read or listen to like any interviews with the three men I chose, Tolkien, Kirby, or Cates, all three of them just seem like very sincere men.
Yeah.
They're very, just kind of, they created things that they cared about, that they loved, and that they love talking about and exploring. So just, and like that's something I can very much relate to, because I also love talking about my creations and exploring the ideas. It's one of those things where I like, there are three men that I feel if I could get them all at the same dinner table together, it would be an interesting conversation.
Yeah. I definitely see that. Yeah, with mine, there's going to be a lot of humor. There's going to be times where we're going to have to tell Kevin Smith, like, hey, it's one of our turns to talk. Like Junji Ito and Kevin Smith, it sounds like a weird pairing. I feel like having them talk would definitely be interesting.
Do you want to see this cat I drew?
Dang it, my earphone was lagging out. What'd you say?
Do you want to see this cat I drew?
Well, that's the thing with Junji Ito, and it's a big meme of like Hayao Miyazaki, the person compared to his work, and then Junji Ito, the person compared to his work.
Yeah.
But that's very, very interesting, like to see Junji Ito have these horrific bodies of work, and also like just things that really make you think and question reality and stuff. And then he's just like, I like cats. Like, I feel like he's a really funny person. I feel like, and then Jeff Lemire is a little bit odder. I feel like Jeff Lemire has a humorous side to. I'm not saying like the whole reason I'm having this is we're all laughing and stuff. I'm not saying that, but Jeff Lemire, I feel like Kevin Smith and Jeff Lemire, it seems like they're all like revolving around Kevin Smith. I was just thinking, like, Kevin Smith can do serious stuff and have great words of wisdom about family, about creation, all this stuff. And I think
that time
Jeff
beat himself.
I think Jeff Lemire, like, he could really pull that out of Jeff Lemire and get Jeff Lemire talking about like all the wise and deep stuff with family, as well as like all of us are humorous people. We could get to see a side of Jeff Lemire you don't see a lot. You see the humorous side of Jeff Lemire. That would be interesting. Jeff Lemire does a fart joke at the table. Like, I'll die laughing.
Yeah, it's something that you don't get to see in his writing very often, but you can tell that Lemire has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
That
and like I've seen some interviews of him where like he does have not saying it's his main sense of humor. He does have I wouldn't even say dry humor sometimes. It's very like dry humor is already considered like subtle humor. It's almost sometimes a more subtle version of dry humor.
Yeah. This conversation has me looking at my comic book shelf and wanting to reorganize it again.
Yeah, I'm looking at mine and like it has me realizing I still haven't touched half of these books in forever. Yeah. I've never read half of these books.
Oh yeah, I still I have the first 3 omnibus volumes of Hellboy on my shelf, and I've only read the first one, and all 3 of them have been up there for like 2 years.
Yeah, for me, it's my reading of comics has somewhat decreased, or at least my interest of it has, in terms of like these huge books of comics. And it's not like, oh, like Brandon's stupid, he can't read. It's more Brandon Stupid, his
I wasn't
memory.
gonna say it. But...
It's more Brandon Stupid. His memory has gotten very, very bad to where I don't like reading super long form stuff because by the end of it, I've forgotten a lot of it.
I see.
And that's more of like, and I've talked about before, like a self-diagnosis of like post-COVID stuff. But I think that's a big thing that I've noticed is like I can retain information pretty well, but before having COVID and stuff, like I could remember pretty much everything about a comic, like all these details. And now that I can't, it sucks. Like in terms of a long form thing. That's why I like reading shorter trades, or it's just like a 6-issue thing, or just like picking up a one shot or something like that. Like
yeah,
it's more comforting now because I can remember it all.
That might be what I see. I've noticed a lot of people have been gravitating kind of away from longer form content these days, and that might be like a blanket issue because of COVID. Because if COVID does affect memory that way, then a lot of people would be suffering from that. And
there's
as far as I'm aware, I'm one of the only people that got through that entire pandemic without contracting it once.
Yeah, there are, and more studies are coming out because COVID was it's not even. It's 4 years ago.
I was gonna say it's not even a 5-year-old thing.
Yeah. So research is still going to be done about like the long-term effects because you can't even really do that much research of the long-term effects because it hasn't been super long-term yet. So there will be more research 20-25 years from now. Yeah. But the research that they've already done, there is a thing called post-COVID effects or post-COVID long haul effects. The reason I know this is family stuff. I won't get too into it, but family, like like family members still heavily affected, and went to all these specialists and stuff, and basically said it's post-COVID long haul effects. Yeah. And I think to a degree, I'm not saying everyone that had COVID has these long haul effects. I think a lot of people have at least like minute effects that happen, probably stuff they don't even really realize.
Yeah. Well, something I've noticed in my own family is because out of the 4 of us, I'm the only one who didn't get it. My dad, my mom, and my sister all got it at least once.
Yeah.
My mom, as far as I know, got it twice, I think, somehow. But like my mother's memory is like way worse than it was before COVID. She like it gets to a point where she like 2 to 3 sentences in a row will forget key words that are important to actually putting the sentence together.
Yeah.
And my sister, like her taste buds have been permanently altered. She can't eat peanut butter anymore because it tastes like dirt.
A lot of people, that's the most common thing I've seen in terms of not major effects, but that is a big effect, especially if it's like foods that people are used to eating. That's the thing I've noticed the most with people that have had COVID is their taste buds have been altered, and a couple of foods they used to eat a lot or remember the specific taste of, they now eat it and it's like it tastes completely different, or it just tastes awful to them. And yes, taste buds change every 6 to 7 years, but this is different. This is like this a complete alteration, basically.
Yeah, it was sudden and like a very drastic shift in the way they perceive the flavor. Like my sister describes peanut butter as tasting like dirt. Even if her taste buds changed so that she didn't like peanut butter anymore, she wouldn't describe it as tasting like dirt.
Yeah, exactly.
If this had been like just over the natural course.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like you said, we're still studying like long-term effects of it because it's not even a half-decade old issue at this point.
Yeah.
I know that the actual outbreak started in like 2019, and it just took till early 2020 to hit America. But but yeah, like we're still figuring things out about like its long-term effects. But yeah, I would not be surprised, just based on the symptoms that I've witnessed in my own family, if memory and taste are just two potentially permanently altered aspects of a person after having it.
Yeah, because the stuff I've heard with people that have had COVID, and again, it's not everyone. Everyone, I mean, there are some people that like nothing has really changed, or like nothing super noticeable has changed.
Yeah.
But like yeah, the most common thing I hear about from people that have had COVID is the taste of one or two things or a few things completely altering, and then smell. I've also heard smell has changed with some. Some have like just mostly lost the sense of smell after COVID, and then some like smells are kind of different. I know it sounds so weird, but
I know my mother temporarily lost her sense of smell, but it came back after a while.
yeah. Plus side is we're all still alive. Like those that we are talking about right now.
Yeah.